everyone, and welcome. You are watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. It's Tuesday evening here, February 9, 2021, and tonight we have updates from several of our correspondents across North America. Thomas Likeness in Edmonton, Alberta.
Canada is telling vaccine clinics to squeeze an extra dose out of every vial of Pfizer vaccine.
EJ Gonzalez in Alexandria, Virginia.
Virginia governor calls for schools K through 12 to begin transition plans for in-person learning.
Emerson Simon in Sylmar, California.
Vallarta supermarkets partner with LA County to provide free COVID-19 testing kiosks in hardest hit San Fernando Valley communities.
Macy Membrere in Sacramento reports about the Levi's Stadium to open as one of the large-scale vaccination sites in California. Then Anna Cui in Las Vegas reports about Nevada Housing Division receiving $124 million in federal grants to provide emergency rental assistance. Carlo Valdez in Union Township tells us about New Jersey's plan to enhance the benefits of Paycheck Protection Program loans. Then Jane Kathleen Gregorio in Corpus Christi with a special feature on a local eatery there serving the city with pizza, music, and a show amidst the pandemic. Plus, if there's time, we'll continue our virtual roundtable on our favorite round food. Our coverage begins now. Lead impeachment prosecutor, House Democrat Jamie Raskin tells U.S. senators at the start of the former President Donald Trump's historic second impeachment trial, this cannot be the future of America. Then Raskin fights tears after recounting how he and his family, who were visiting to watch the election certification, had been trapped during the storming of the Capitol. Take a look.
You know what she said? She said, "Dad, I don't want to come back to the Capitol." Of all the terrible, brutal things I saw and I heard on that day, and since then, that one hit me the hardest. History does not support a January exception in any way, so why would we invent one for the future?
U.S. senators viewed harrowing video from the storming of Congress by Donald Trump supporters at the start of his historic second impeachment trial Tuesday, despite the defense team's attempt to declare the whole procedure unconstitutional. According to Trump's lawyers, a president cannot be tried after impeachment when he has already left office. Democratic impeachment managers, lawmakers in the role of prosecutors, attacked the unconstitutionality argument, saying that Trump had broken his oath in a naked bid to retain power after losing the November election.
Now, I was a former defense lawyer for many years, and I can understand why President Trump and his lawyers don't want you to hear this case, why they don't want you to see the evidence. But the argument that you lack jurisdiction rests on a purely fictional loophole. Purely fictional. Designed to allow the former president to escape all accountability for conduct that is truly indefensible under our Constitution. After a betrayal like this, there cannot be unity without accountability. And this is exactly what the Constitution calls for. The framers' original understanding, this chamber's own precedent, and the very words used in the Constitution all confirm unquestionably, indisputably, that President Trump must stand trial for his high crimes and misdemeanors against the American people.
Senators, this cannot be our future. This cannot be the future of America. We cannot have presidents inciting and mobilizing mob violence against our government and our institutions because they refuse to accept the will of the people under the Constitution of the United States.
The House of Representatives impeached him last month over his role in the deadly January 6th siege of the U.S. Capitol by a pro-Trump mob. And his trial, the first of a former president, will feature the Senate's 100 members sitting as jurors. Trump's legal team Monday denounced the case as unconstitutional, calling it absurd to hold the former president responsible for the violence. Speaking ahead of the impeachment trial, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer asks Republican senators to listen carefully to the case against Donald Trump.
The Senate has a solemn responsibility to try and hold Donald Trump accountable for the most serious charges ever levied against a president. The evidence will be powerful. The evidence, some of it will be new. And I urge all my colleagues to pay careful attention to the evidence. I particularly urge my Republican colleagues, despite the pressure on them, to pay very real attention to the evidence here, because it's very, very serious. It was said a few weeks ago in all the punditry and everywhere else that the impeachment trial would throw a wrench into President Biden's early agenda. We are here today to say we are not letting that happen. We can do both at once. We have to do everything we can to end this crisis. And even though the impeachment trial is an important and august responsibility, we are doing both. And that's what my colleagues here are doing.
Meanwhile, as former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial begins in the Senate, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says U.S. President Joe Biden is not going to opine on the back-and-forth arguments, nor is he watching them that are taking place in the Senate. Take a look.
And Biden, we put out a statement following the conclusion of the House vote just a couple of weeks ago, and he made clear in that statement that he felt the process should proceed as history, and many laws predetermine, and he is going to wait for the Senate to determine the outcome of this. But his view is that his role should be currently focused on addressing the needs of the American people, putting people back to work, addressing the pandemic.
It is constitutional?
I don't think that's for me or us to opine on. Obviously, he said that the process should proceed, and it's doing exactly that. Look, Joe Biden is the president. He's not a pundit. He's not going to opine on the back and forth arguments, nor is he watching them that are taking place in the Senate. This is obviously a big story in the country. No one's denying that here, and there's certainly going to be a lot of attention and focus on it. But our focus and the president's focus is on putting people back to work, getting the pandemic under control, and that means we're not going to weigh in on every question about the impeachment trial, and we don't feel it's necessary or our role to do that.
Now for an update on today's COVID-19 numbers. According to the Coronavirus Resource Center of Johns Hopkins University in Medicine, as of 6 p.m. Eastern Time today, Tuesday, February 9th, the number of cases of COVID-19 reported worldwide is now more than 106,740,000. The top three on the list of countries with the recorded number of cases are the U.S., with more than 27,160,000, India with more than 10,847,000, and Brazil with more than 9,524,000. Sadly, this virus has now already claimed more than 2,334,000 lives worldwide. The top three countries with the most number of COVID-19 related deaths are the U.S. with more than 466,000, Brazil with more than 231,000, and Mexico with more than 166,000. Now, in tonight's COVID news, the head of the European branch of the World Health Organization, Hans Kluge, says Europe and pharma groups must work together to speed up COVID-19 vaccinations. Take a look.
We need to beef up the production capacity of the vaccines, and we need the government to do a very clear communication. Because I have the impression sometimes people think that we get a vaccine, everything is fine. But still, you can paradoxically get the vaccine. It prevents you of becoming sick, but you still transmit. So the narrative is very complicated. Sanofi is, for example, going to help to increase the production of Pfizer and BioNTech. That's what we need. More companies to team up together to beef up production capacity. I think the tunnel is a bit longer than I thought, the end of December, but it's going to be manageable, more preventable this year.
Israel, foreigners residing in the country and migrants get vaccinated against COVID-19 in a vaccination center in Tel Aviv as the government launches its vaccination campaign for asylum seekers.
I'm really happy to come here to take the vaccine, and it is really a great opportunity to provide us to take the vaccine in Israel. And I say thank you very much to Israel, and I love Israel. Yes, actually, I'm illegal here in Israel like 13 years, and I was really scared to come here. And they said it is not, it is really secure here to come and take the vaccine. There is no immigration.
עיריית תל אביב יפעל ביחד עם המרכז הרפואי סורסקי תל אביב ובהנחיית משרד הבריאות פתחה היום מרכז חיסונים שייתן מענה לקהילת חסרי המעמד ומהגרי העבודה שאין להם ביטוחים ואלה יכולים לבוא ולהתחסן פה כנגד הקורונה.
Since December, more than 3.4 million of Israel's 9 million people have received a coronavirus vaccine jab in what is seen as the world's fastest per capita campaign. Now, back in Washington, U.S. President Joe Biden meets with business leaders in the Oval Office to discuss his $1.9 trillion economic stimulus package alongside Vice President Kamala Harris and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
America, come in and talk about the state of the economy, our recovery package. We're going to talk a little bit, God willing, about infrastructure down the road and also about a little about the minimum wage. But as you know, I've met for a long time with my Republican colleagues. I've been exchanging correspondence with them and telephone calls as well to see if there's any way we can follow up beyond where we are, and meeting with the members of the House and the Senate as well. And I think we're in a position to think big and move big. And I'm anxious to hear what these business leaders have to say about how they think I'm approaching this issue, we're approaching this issue, and to see if we can find some common ground. I know I've found some common ground with some of my Republican friends, a lot of Democrats as well, so I'm optimistic.
Asked about his predecessor, Donald Trump's second impeachment trial, the president says he is sure the Senate is going to conduct themselves well.
I am not, look, I told you before, I have a job. My job is to keep people, we've already lost over 450,000 people. We're going to lose a whole lot more if we don't act, and act decisively and quickly. A lot of people, as I said, a lot of children are going to bed hungry. A lot of families are food insecure. They're in trouble. That's my job. The Senate has their job. They're about to begin it. I'm sure they're going to conduct themselves well. And that's all I'm going to have to say about impeachment. Thank you very much.
Now up next, we'll have reports from Edmonton, Alberta, Washington, D.C., and Alexandria, Virginia. Eagle News America continues. Stay with us.
Factual.
We have to defeat the virus everywhere.
Timely information. Balanced. Not only in the country, but also abroad.
I'm certain of one thing.
Interviews that people need to know. Watch Aguila Pilipinas. A 1-hour newscast of reports coming from regional hubs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Know the important updates in Asia in ASEAN in Focus. Track the latest stories in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Tune into Mata ng Aguila, the evening primetime news program of Net25. Balanced and objective, Mata ng Aguila covers national and international issues, tackles news on business, health, science, and technology, entertainment, sports and human interest features, and current events. And Eagle News International delivers the latest global reports, impartial, accessible, and up-to-date. It brings to fore EBC's rich international scope and access to valuable information streams.
Well, thank you to claims our help outdoor.
Catch these programs on Net25. You can also watch our news programs through eaglenews.ph and Eagle News Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Happy peeps! Keep on watching Happy Time from Monday to Friday at 12 noon only on Net25.
Happy time, happy time.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. In an effort to inoculate more with the amount of doses that they actually have, the government of Canada is telling vaccination centers to stretch the COVID-19 vaccine supply. Joining us this evening is Bureau Chief Thomas Likeness with the details. Thomas.
Thank you, Philip. Well, how do you handle a shortage of vaccine when suppliers are unable to ship the amount you ordered? Well, in Canada, it's simple. As Philip said, you simply stretch the amount that you've got on hand so you can cover more people. Now, the Canadian government is telling the provinces they have to get 6 doses out of every vial of Pfizer vaccine now instead of the normal 5. Pfizer has given permission for this, and they're relabeling all of the inoculants it is shipping to Canada to reflect that. And by counting that 6th dose, we can juggle the numbers a bit. What was to have been an order of 335,000 doses, well, that's now going to be counted as 400,000. You know, this reminds me of the stories I used to hear from my mom and dad. They grew up during the Great Depression about 90 years ago in the 1930s. And what used to happen around the dinner table, there wasn't enough supper to go around. You just simply stretch the amount you have. Now, to complicate matters, and this will likely add to the cost, the people administering the shots will have to use a special needle. It's called a low-dead volume syringe. It basically takes up a little less of the vaccine in the syringe, and that allows you to get the 6 doses. Those who actually work in healthcare settings, as opposed to the bureaucrats, say it's not always possible to get that 6th dose out of every vial. Some doctors are saying it also requires a certain level of experience to get that shot. Newbies not quite as able to do that. Alberta Health Minister Tyler Shandro says in the end, he thinks the provinces will be getting less vaccine.
Frustrating. I think we made it clear to the federal government and to Health Canada that everybody gets the best training, everybody is using the right syringe. We're only going to get that 6th dose 75% of the time max. So it means that the provinces are in the end, because the federal government has contracted out on the basis of doses, not vials. So it means that the provinces are going to end up not getting as many doses, I think.
Now, Shandro says Alberta has obtained enough of the special needles. Canada's been getting a small fraction of the doses of vaccines it ordered because of production problems. And of course, supply has simply outstripped demand. Now, there's one other item that crossed our news desk here today. Starting Monday, anyone entering Canada by land will have to present border officials with a recent negative COVID-19 PCR test. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today said the test will have to be administered within 3 days of crossing the border, and failure to provide a test at the border, now it can result in some stiff penalties. Trudeau says in the case of air travel, that's easy. People without the test, you simply don't allow them on the plane. But he says that can't be done at the border. Why is that? When you get to the border crossing, technically you're on Canadian soil.
That's why what we can do is, in cases of no test to show, apply a stiff penalty, a fine, and demand and ensure a rapid and complete follow-up to make sure that they are getting tested, that they are being properly quarantined, that they are not putting at risk the safety of other Canadians by returning home without a clear negative test.
Now, that fine could go as high as $3,000. While we fight this pandemic together, I wish you all good health in Edmonton, Canada. Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Thomas. And I'm just curious. I was well aware of the testing requirements for air travel into not just Canada, but many countries across the world. But it was a little surprising to me to hear you say that the land border, you're going to have to present a case or a test result there, because I thought the borders were closed. I mean, how much traffic are we talking about here?
Okay, the borders are closed to non-essential traffic, but Canadians can fly down to the United States if they drive back to the border because they're a Canadian citizen. Anyone who wants to return home is allowed to do so. We cannot deny them entry. And there's a lot of snowbirds down there who will be returning home in the coming weeks once it warms up. I mean, we're in the minus 40-degree wind chills here right now. They're in no hurry. But in anticipation of them coming back in the spring, this is why these requirements were brought in. Now, for those who did manage to get a vaccine in the United States, there's no exemption. You will still have to get a test. Make sure it's the proper test, a PCR test, and it has to be done within 3 days of crossing the border. Just as a bit of background here, since the end of last March, almost 3 million people have crossed land borders with the United States. That does not include truck drivers and other essential travelers. We've got a lot of people who live close to the border. They may work in one country and live in the other. You take the Windsor-Detroit area. A lot of healthcare professionals either live in the United States or Canada, but they cross the border to go to work. They're considered essential, so they would be exempt. But yeah, we're expecting a fair bit of traffic in the next couple of months.
That's good to know, Thomas. And negative 40 with the wind chill sounds pretty cold to me. I guess you're not doing much outdoor dining right now, are you?
Not outdoor dining, but I guess I live up here because of the weather.
Excellent. It sounds cool, Tom.
It is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your report tonight. Take care. Now, in the state of Virginia, it's now looking into reopening in-campus instruction as the governor asks school divisions to make sure transition plans are underway. In Alexandria, Eagle News correspondent E.J. Gonzalez shares with us the plans. E.J., what can you tell us?
Thanks, Philip. Well, first, hopeful news for Northern Virginia residents, as the area has recorded some of its lowest numbers for COVID cases in recent weeks. According to the Virginia Department of Health, the daily average for new COVID cases in Northern Virginia has fallen to its lowest mark since early December, and over the weekend reported its lowest new case count over a one-day period since late October. According to the Virginia Hospital and Healthcare Associations, hospitals in the area are also seeing a record low of 399 hospitalized patients on Monday, and that's the first time that this number is less than 400 since mid-November of last year. Many are speculating the dip in numbers was caused by the winter storm in the area that the area faced last week, as they forced many to stay within their own homes. There is another winter storm warning for the DC metropolitan area, with a mix of snow and rain from Wednesday evening all the way till Saturday evening. Now, Governor Ralph Northam has called the attention of school divisions across the entire state to start making plans for students to return to the classrooms. Governor Northam has instructed for in-person learning options to become available for grades K through 12 by March 15th. The plans are to follow the guidelines set by the Northam administration, which was put out in January, as well as the most up-to-date research from the CDC. Northam also suggested that school divisions should start to make arrangements to extend classroom instruction out to the summer months for any families or students who wish to make up for lost time. Governor Northam said that the health and safety of students, educators, school personnel, and communities are still a top priority. Northam added that children learn better in classrooms and develop social and emotional interactions that children need. Many students also rely on school in receiving their critical services, such as meals for the day. The state health commissioner, as well as the Secretary of Education and the state superintendent of public instruction, all agree that the return to school is vital for the academic, social, and emotional development of our students. It's a top priority for the governor and school superintendents to follow mitigation measures to have a safe learning environment for students and faculty to return to. And in 2020, Governor Northam has directed $492 million in federal CARES Act funding for the public school systems and will support this school year with testing supplies, personal protective equipment, sanitization, and technology for distance learning. In Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, EJ. Now, what's your take on resuming in-person learning, or what do you think it's going to take for students to physically get back to campus?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy because after listening to what Governor Northam was saying during his press release about the children's current situations, it opened my eyes. He said that pediatricians, they're reporting that there are increases in behavioral problems and mental issues in children. And the craziest part, there's even an increase in prescribing antidepressants to children. It just shows that challenges not only that the parents are facing, but even the children. When I look back when I was a kid, you know, I always looked forward to going to places like school or church because I knew that there would be people my age to hang around with. And, you know, I don't think I can imagine my childhood being any different, you know. So it's important for children to have that type of interaction. So if there is a safe way to get school doors open again and keep the children, teachers, and school personnel safe and healthy, then I'm all for it. And, you know, with the vaccines and the report of some low numbers in our area, which I reported on earlier, I actually think that it's looking promising.
Absolutely, EJ. Well, I hope that things continue to trend in the right direction there in Northern Virginia. We hope that you'll stay with us for our roundtable here at the end of the show tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Philip.
Thanks, EJ. Now, still to come, we'll have stories from our correspondents in Sylmar and Sacramento, California, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Union Township, New Jersey. You're watching Eagle News America. Stay with us.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
In good shape. Isn't that how we'd all like to be? But how can you be truly fit? And how can you stay truly healthy right up into your golden years? And truly have fun while doing it.
In good shape.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. A supermarket chain has teamed up with Los Angeles County to set up more COVID-19 testing kiosks, addressing the needs of communities in the San Fernando Valley hardest hit by the pandemic. In Sylmar, Emerson Simon reports.
Thank you, Philip. Vallarta Supermarkets partnered with County of Los Angeles to provide free COVID-19 testing kiosks to some of the hardest hit communities in the county. The San Fernando Valley, which is the San Fernando Valley. Vallarta Supermarket is a community-based organization founded in Van Nuys of the San Fernando Valley. Its mission is to serve the community with respect and pride, providing authentic, traditional, fresh products for the whole family. Vallarta is definitely no stranger to providing COVID-19 relief efforts to the public and surrounding neighborhood. It serves along with the frontline responders who have selflessly been caring for the community throughout this pandemic. Vallarta Supermarkets have provided hot meals to local hospitals to feed healthcare workers, physicians, and nurses with their donations through the Vallarta Supermarkets. La Cocina Taquerias, its Mexican kitchen, serving up traditional meals like tacos, burritos, chile rellenos, tamales, tortas, enchiladas, and more. Vallarta team members will be delivering a total of 850 donated hot meals to hospitals in Los Angeles County, such as Kaiser Permanente, Los Angeles, Northridge, Dignity Health in Northridge, and Providence, Cedars-Sinai, Tarzana Medical Center in Los Angeles. The new free COVID-19 testing kiosk will be available to Angelinos 7 days a week by appointment only for the 3 months. The free testing kiosks are located at the Vallarta Market on 10175 San Fernando Road in Pacoima, and the second location is at Cameron Park Community Center on 1305 East Cameron in West Covina. Registration for the free COVID testing is available on many platforms. Those interested can either visit covid19.lacounty.gov/testing or call 211 or text 52211 to register. In Sylmar, California, Emerson Simon, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Emerson. Now, will the COVID-19 testing kiosks also be able to provide COVID-19 vaccinations?
No, unfortunately, only rapid testing for Angelinos are currently available, Philip.
Okay, thanks. And can you give us a quick update before you go on the COVID-19 situation there in LA County today?
Well, right now, I believe that the coronavirus, especially the hospitalization, are actually decreasing in Los Angeles. As a result, being seen with the administration of the vaccines, COVID-19, deaths are unfortunately still an all-time high as the county surpasses 18,000 deaths, such as this past Sunday. Philip.
Well, thank you, Emerson, for that report tonight. I hope you'll stay tuned here for our roundtable here at the end of the show.
Yes, sir.
Aiming to inoculate more people against COVID-19, the state of California adds the Levi's Stadium to its list of large-scale vaccination sites. In Sacramento, Macy Membrere reports. Macy.
Thank you. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom spoke at a press conference at the Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, which is home to the San Francisco 49ers. The Levi's Stadium will open as a large-scale vaccination site, one of many across the state. However, there is still one major limitation to vaccinating all 58 counties. Here is Governor Newsom with more details.
The goal is to design a system that has only one limitation, and that's supply, that has the capacity to deliver on our promotion and promise to vaccinate everybody in the state of California that chooses to be vaccinated. And I want to underscore that. The issue in this state, in this nation, is supply. I just got off the phone with all the governors in the United States and the Biden administration. It's our weekly phone call where we discuss allocations. We discuss the distribution. We discuss the availability of vaccines for not only our state, but for every state in this nation. We're going as a nation from 10.5 million doses that will be distributed nationwide to 11 million. That's not enough.
Trend lines related to COVID-19, such as hospitalizations and positivity rates, continue to trend in the right direction. However, lives continue to be lost. Here's more from Governor Newsom.
Now let me just update you briefly on some good news. 1 month ago today, on January 9th, we had over 53,000 reported cases of COVID. Today, just over 8,000, 8,251 reported cases. 53,000 cases 1 month ago, 8,000 cases today. 1 month ago today, 14% positivity rate. Today, the 7-day positivity rate has dropped to 4.8%. 14% to 4.8%. While deaths continue to be devastating, and our heart goes out to every family member that's lost a loved one, that's been torn asunder because of this deadly pandemic. We're also seeing over the course of the last few weeks, our 14-day average now decline, still remarkably high, just shy of 500 lives a day that we are losing to this deadly, deadly disease. And so good and encouraging signs in terms of trend lines and directions, including hospitalizations, down 33.5% in the last 14 days. ICUs down 26% in the last 14 days. All encouraging signs. Vaccinations now averaging just shy of 175,000 doses being administered on a daily basis. That's the 7-day average doses that we've now been administering. And I remind you, that's more than double where we were a few weeks ago, more than triple where we were 3 to 4 weeks ago. We recognize we have a lot more work to do. And in closing, in this particular case, a focus on equity.
In Sacramento, California, I'm Macy Membrari, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
In Nevada, the state receives $124 million in federal grants to provide emergency rental assistance to its residents in need. In Las Vegas, Bureau Chief Anna Cui is with us tonight. Anna, what can you tell us?
Hi, Philip. Thank you. Yes, this is certainly good news, especially that according to the most recent report from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics released last week, of the 51 metropolitan areas, Las Vegas and the surrounding areas had the highest unemployment rate of 10.4% in December. Which could mean, Philip, that many Nevadans are still struggling with keeping a roof over their head. So this additional $124 million in federal funding received by the Nevada Housing Division through the CARES Housing Assistance Program, or CHAP, gives hope to those who really could use it. As I mentioned, funds will be used to provide more temporary rental and housing expense assistance as the eviction moratorium, will expire here in Las Vegas end of March. So 95% of the total funding will be distributed by Nevada Housing Division to the following. First, to Clark County, they're going to distribute over $93 million. Clark County is where Las Vegas sits, and it is the biggest county in Nevada. $10 million will go to Reno Housing Authority, which belongs to the Washoe County. And then the remaining $14.8 million will go to Nevada Rural Housing Authority outside of both Clark and Washoe counties. There is that additional 5%, the remaining 5%, which will be used for housing stability services, according to the Nevada Department of Business and Industry. So far, 29,000 Nevadans have received help from CHAP, with the latest funds expected to help another 20,000 households. Of course, Nevadans will have to apply, and so they can just go to the website of the county where they live. But the program will prioritize those who are currently unemployed, those who have not been employed for the last 90 days, and those renters whose incomes do not exceed 50% of area median income. Before I let you go, Philip, here's a quick update on our COVID-19 vaccines. As of Sunday, over 348,000 doses have been administered and reported to WebIZ, and more than 67,000 have completed the 2 doses, which accounts for about 2% of the state population. In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks for that update there at the end, about the vaccinations. I know that, across the country, we're all facing various challenges as far as the vaccine rollout. What about there? What other challenges have people run into with the vaccine distribution, and how are they actually getting help?
Well, besides the still not getting enough supplies, right, Philip? That's the number one challenge, not enough to go around. But really, because it's the whole scheduling system is based on an honor system. It's a check mark, so anybody can just say they're eligible even though they're not. So what's happening is, when they show up to their appointment, if they don't provide the proper documentation, they can be turned away. The problem with that, that's good, right? Because then those who are eligible should be the one getting it. But on the flip side, there's also the implementation of the rules. I talked to a nurse practitioner who showed up at the Southern Nevada Health District. She was dressed up in her scrubs, and she had her ID, but she didn't bring the letter that from her employer that said that she was eligible, and so she was turned away. So there's that inconsistency of the implementation of the rule. It just depends on who's there. So that's one of the challenges. And also, Philip, for our seniors, because everything is done online, they're having difficulty with maneuvering through the different websites, mainly the Southern Nevada Health District, and we have a website that's called Immunize Nevada that they can go to also schedule online, but that's a challenge. And you ask how they're getting help. There is an 800 number, but for me personally, I've volunteered my time for my church, for our senior population. I've offered my services along with a couple of nurses in my congregation to help those our seniors to make appointments. Philip?
Thanks, Anna. And I know that is a very noble effort that you mentioned there right at the end. So, thank you in advance, for helping. Especially, when you think about, a lot of what we do, whether it's a COVID test or signing up for a vaccine, it's online, right? It's a website that you have to go to that, chances are it's not very reliable. It might crash. And then for someone who, especially some of our elderly, citizens, that can be difficult for them. So I know that your efforts are much appreciated. So thank you for that. And thank you for the report tonight, Anna.
Thank you, Philip.
Now, in New Jersey, they announced that it will follow the federal government's lead in enhancing the benefits of the Paycheck Protection Program loans. In Union Township, Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez explains us how.
Thanks, Philip. To help provide aid to small businesses that were hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Phil Murphy and State Treasurer Elizabeth Mayer Muyo announced on Tuesday that the state of New Jersey will follow the federal government's lead in making the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loans, to be tax-exempt at the state level and allow those recipients to deduct business expenses that were paid with tax-exempt loan proceeds, which truly enhances the tax benefits of the loans. Governor Murphy said this decision is designed to help already beleaguered small businesses, which are the majority of the recipients of these loans. It's no secret that New Jersey has been one of the hardest hit states by COVID-19, and our small businesses have shouldered the brunt of it. PPP loans help many stay afloat, and this move will provide added benefit to help them weather this storm. And as for coronavirus stats and numbers, New Jersey reports of 3,164 new positive PCR tests, pushing the total to 650,263. Sadly, New Jersey is reporting 92 new COVID-19 deaths, pushing the total to 19,916 lives lost. In Union Township, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Up next, we'll have a wonderful story about a local pizzeria as we continue our celebration of National Pizza Day. You're watching Eagle News America. We'll be back after this.
It's time to take one step further and face the impossible. Time to search the unknown and fight for the truth. Time to overcome boundaries and connect the world. It's time for DW News.
Hey there, Arnie Aquino here at Hatley Castle, one of the filming locations for the X-Men series. Don't forget to tune in to Digital Nest only on Net25.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. I'm Philip Toledo in Atlanta. If you weren't hungry at the start of the show, I'm sure that you will be here at the end. Yesterday, we celebrated National Pizza Day, but because today is still February 9 here in the United States, the celebration continues. Our Texas Bureau Chief, Jane Kathleen Gregorio, will take us to a local pizzeria in Corpus Christi, where she discovers that this pizza place is more than just a pizza place. Kathleen, we're ready.
Thank you, Philip, and howdy from the Lone Star State. In honor of National Pizza Day, we visited a local eatery here in Corpus Christi, Sal's Bronx Pizza, which opened at the start of this year and serves a variety of New York-style specialty pizzas, calzones, strombolis, salads, and gourmet desserts like cannolis, tiramisu, limoncello, mascarpone, cakes, and more. The menu ranges from traditional pies such as pepperoni, sausage, to extra stuffed, and even includes gluten-free options such as cauliflower crust. The pizzeria is named after Sal Colici, a native of New York whose family has been in the restaurant business for over 40 years. And in fact, he owns another Italian restaurant in downtown called Bella Luna. But the idea for Sal's Bronx Pizza came about last year when Sal was craving for a slice of New York pizza and unable to find what he wanted here in Corpus Christi, he decided to just open his own pizzeria. A unique feature of Sal's Bronx Pizza is that it also serves as a live music and live comedy venue, making it a one-stop shop for dinner and a show. Today, we spoke to the co-owner of Sal's Bronx Pizza, Chris Tovar, as well as some of their customers to hear about the restaurant and also the favorite pizzas that some of our customers here have. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Chris with Sal's Bronx Pizza. We're at 5922 Yorktown in Clovis. We've been open about a month. We carry your specialty pizzas as well as strombolis, calzones, wonderful desserts as well as house salads, Caesar salads, antipastas. We have live jazz on Friday and Saturday nights, and then we also have comedy shows throughout the month. So please like us on Facebook and follow us to find out all the events that are happening at Sal's Bronx Pizza.
Hi, my name is Ruth. I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas, and my favorite pizza right now is cauliflower crust with some red sauce and then some big chunks of pineapple on the top. I eat gluten-free, dairy-free, but I love sweets, and so for me this is a healthy way to be able to enjoy all of those things together. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayub. I'm from Morocco. My favorite kind of pizza is margarita, which is simply tomato sauce, basil, and cheese. It's very simple, and I love it.
Hello. So, if anybody knows me, they know that my favorite food to eat in the entire world is pizza. And one day I discovered Sal's Bronx Pizza, and fortunately enough, I ended up knowing who the owners were. So I liked Sal's Bronx Pizza so much that I decided I'm going to have my birthday party there this year. Well, anyway, pizza that I strongly recommend if you go to Sal's Bronx Pizza is the Deep Dish Don. It's, I believe it's 3 different kinds of cheeses. It has pepperoni, it has meatballs, it has sausage, it has bacon, it's fresh garlic. And then, funny enough, on the menu it says antacid not included. But it is one of the best pizzas I have ever had. So, if you go to Sal's Bronx Pizza, you need to try the Deep Dish Don. Thank you.
Meanwhile, I wish you all a happy National Pizza Day and hope you are enjoying a slice of happiness in your part of the country. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times. Back to you, Philip.
Thanks, Jane. And it's pretty difficult for me right now not to let my stomach grumbling, come across on the audio here, but probably not as difficult as it was for them to start a business during the pandemic. What was that like for them?
Well, when I spoke with the owners, Sal and Chris told me that it was what made it difficult was the trying to make sure that everything is sanitized. So having to buy extra supplies like extra hand sanitizers, extra disposable type of plasticware, so that way they can make sure that the customers were safe. And also, have things having to cost more for shipping because due to the pandemic crisis, some materials, some ingredients were a little bit more difficult to come by. So that was one of the challenges. But when the store opened, there was a huge turnout. It appears that in Corpus Christi, a lot of people are craving for that New York style pizza. That's something different that you don't always get here in this town. So a huge turnout, and also they're constantly busy. So that's other than the challenges of the pandemic crisis, at least when they opened, it was a very successful turnout. Philip?
Absolutely, and just looking at the pictures that you took of all of their product, I can see why they've had some pretty good success. So, what about you? What pizza did you order? Did you order the one that required the antacid?
I would have loved to have ordered that, but at the time I was just getting a pizza for just myself and 2 other people. So they recommended to me the small, which I thought, well, for me, I'm a foodie and I love having large slices. Are you sure? The small? The small was enough to feed like 6 people in a 2-day period. We still had leftover pizza the next day. So the small was a pretty generous small. And the flavor that we ordered was the meat lovers, and they had bacon and meatballs. Just very delicious. Philip?
It sounds great. Now, but before we go to our virtual roundtable, in general, what are your favorite kinds of pizza?
Well, Philip, I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were discussing our favorite pizzas, and we were during the times that we wanted to, kind of be healthy, thin crust. For me, I love margarita pizza, like the other customer from Morocco had stated. I love just like a thin crust with cheese, basil, and tomato. That's actually one of my favorites. But if, I'm feeling really, really hangry, I would love a Chicago deep dish style pizza with all the layers of meat and cheese. Philip?
That sounds great. So if we're going to Corpus Christi, the local pizzeria that we need to check out, it sounds like, is Sal's Bronx Pizza. But let's ask the rest of our Eagle News friends tonight, if we were visiting you in your city, what's the name and maybe a 5-second description, because we only have a little bit of time, of where we should grab a bite of pizza. How about Thomas there in Edmonton? What's your favorite local pizzeria?
I'm a big fan of deep dish, and this place is simply called Chicago Pizza. It's just a local place up here in Edmonton. My wife prefers the thin slice, so she just goes to a chain that's named after a board game.
That sounds great. EJ, what about you? When we come to Alexandria, what pizza place are we going to?
Well, you'd have to cross the bridge because I want to shout out a Filipino-owned restaurant that is really good with pizza. You can also get boba there as well. It's called Gigi's Kitchen. So they got your pizza and they got boba for you as well.
And is it Filipino-themed pizza?
Oh, no. It's Italian. It used to be Italian-owned, but now it's Filipino-owned, yes.
Okay, well, I'm still looking for that Filipino-style pizza. Emerson, what about there in California? Where are we going to eat pizza?
I prefer 786-degree pizza because I have a whole variety of kind of pizzas, like from, I believe it's inspired from different parts of the world. And I'm more of a Mediterranean since I was kind of raised there or born there. So I love the type of cheese where there's like Egyptian style where they add lamb into or kafta in the pizza.
That sounds great. You know, I want to hear more about that. But Anna, if we're going to Las Vegas, I know we got a lot of options. Where are we going to get pizza?
Pizza My Dear is my go-to pizzeria when we crave pizza. And I love their garlic white sauce. Veggie. The gourmet veggie is my favorite there with artichoke hearts. Very good.
And Pizza My Dear. It sounds very, very adorable. Down there in Las Vegas. And if you guys ever come to Atlanta, there's probably a lot of places that we'll go, but the one that immediately comes to mind is Da Vinci's Pizzeria, because I'm a person, my wife likes the plain pepperoni and cheese, but I like, the pesto and the grilled chicken or, the other artichoke hearts, all the other bougie ingredients. But thank you everyone so much for sharing and helping us to celebrate National Pizza Day. But there's another celebration that we have to do before we go, and that's for all of our healthcare workers, first responders, and essential workers, because you're doing so much every day to keep us all safe and well. Thank you so much. Let's join us in a round of applause. We truly appreciate you. Well, everyone, that is today's episode of Eagle News America. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that you're staying safe and you're staying well. I'm Philip Toledo. We live in interesting times.
May sakit na lumalaganap, lunas di panahan.